I'm that guy from that fucking band, and this poor guy is in need of some serious TLC. Hi, this is Max. In my Ibanez Gem 555 video, I mentioned that a friend had pulled it from storage. Also in storage was this bass. Originally we didn't think much of it, as we just assumed it was a Chinese-made Squier Standard or Affinity. However, on closer inspection, it turns out to be a Japanese-made Silver Series. Early Squiers were made in Japan at the Fujigen factory and are highly prized for their quality of manufacture. This one has an L serial number, which means it was made between 1991 and 1992. That's not to say it's anything rare or special, it's just a well-made instrument. It's a jazz bass with an older body, a maple neck, and a 20-fret rosewood fretboard. It has a top-strung bridge and open-gear elephant ear tuners. It has 2 single-coil jazz pickups with a volume for each and a master tone. This one is 3-tone sunburst with a black pickguard. Now, as you can see, it's in pretty terrible condition. I won't go into too much detail, but the gentleman who owned this passed away a few years ago, and a lot of his gear was left in a lockup. Unfortunately, the lockup was not climate controlled, so you see we have rust, we have dirt, we have mold, we have a pretty heavy bow in the neck, and that's just on superficial inspection. I'm not going to bother plugging it in to see if it still works, because the pots have all seized. You can't actually turn them. I don't honestly know if we're going to be able to make this playable, but we can certainly give it a try. The goal here isn't to fully restore the bass to as-new condition. Out of respect for its previous owner, we're not going to pretend this instrument hasn't had the life it's had. We're just going to clean it up and save what can be saved. Again, this isn't a rare or valuable bass, so we're not going to get into archival techniques or anything. We're going to use ordinary household tools and products and a few items that any guitar player should have in their kit. This might be a 2-part video depending on the extent of the damage, and I might need a few spare parts that I don't have to hand. Right now this bass is in the exact condition we found it in. I haven't even wiped it down. It's filthy, and it actually smells pretty bad. So let's get to work. So you can probably see I'm going to have to fully disassemble this to clean it up. So I might as well start there. Got my little plastic tin there for all the bits and pieces that have come off the bass. The first thing to do obviously is to take the strings off. So start there. I'm going to keep the strings just in case. They might still be good. If you boil them up, you can get a little bit of life out of them. Just going to try and give you a little close-up here on the state of the pickups. I mean, that's pretty bad. We've got our 2 friends here. The first one is the WD-40 Specialist Fast Drying Contact Cleaner. That's going to be really helpful for like cleaning out the pots and to get rid of any excess dirt. And then the other one, obviously, is the standard WD-40 Water Displacement. That's useful especially for loosening up screws. The last thing you want to do is to strip any of the heads when you're trying to disassemble things. So that's the last screw. We're going to discover this together, just see if we can pull the pickguard up. Okay, we're going to have to be gentle here. Looks like it might have stuck to the body for some reason.
Okay, we're going to wiggle it, see if we can get it loose. There you go. There we are. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to spray some cleaner on the pick guard, see if we can get it back up. First I'm just using an all-purpose cleaner, nothing fancy. Just trying to get the worst of the dirt and grime off it. First thing I want to do is try and clean this up as much as possible. It really is in filthy condition. Okay, so that's not too bad. I'm going to clean as I go here, mainly because I don't really want to be breathing in too much of this stuff. It is mold after all, and although it is clean and dry in the studio, I just don't want too much of this stuff in the air. So the finish on these bases is polyurethane. So you can use pretty much whatever cleaner you want. You don't really run the risk of doing any damage to it. In this case, I mean, it's damaged pretty much enough as it is, so you know, whatever I do to it's not going to make it much worse. But you know, in this case, you can just use any typical all-purpose household cleaner, or you know, I mean, if it's not too bad, just like a damp rag should be enough. I'm going to see if I can clean up these pickups a little bit. Okay, so that's not a bad start. I'm going to take the control plate off. Now again, as with the body finish, which is polyurethane, the metal parts have chrome on them, which is actually quite a resilient finish. So we should be able to again use the same kind of all-purpose cleaner without worrying too much about doing any damage. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad on the inside here. It's actually pretty clean. I think the main issue is going to be that the pots have seized. So I think once we get those loosened and cleaned up, we might actually find we have a working circuit here. There's no reason to think otherwise. On the inside here, you've got what looks like a copper plate that's been screwed to the inside of the cavity there. So I assume for shielding purposes. Again, we'll just clean up the worst around the outside there. This is just superficial cleaning I'm doing now. I will clean it up properly when I'm done here, but mainly I just want to see what I'm dealing with. You'll notice here there's a strip of copper that runs from the bridge pickup to the actual bridge. Now that's to ground the electronics to the strings. That's because there's no body cavity in the rear here that wire could run through. So basically it just runs along the top of the body there. So these knobs appear to be the kind that you just push on into place. So I'll see if I can just loosen them with my fingers. Yeah, that one's coming free fairly easily. So I can just take that off. I'll clean that up. See if the volume ones will come off as easily. Seems like they're coming free fine. If I can, I want to be able to clean this up and get it working without actually have to desolder anything, as that would be a little bit extra work that I don't necessarily want to have to do. Here we go, that's coming up nicely. When you're doing this kind of thing, you absolutely don't want to be forcing things any more than you have to, running the risk of breaking anything. You absolutely don't want to do that. This feels really greasy and filthy, so what I might do is hit this with some contact cleaner just to loosen that up before I hit it with the all-purpose. I'll be using the contact cleaner inside the pots as well to see if I can get them unseized, so this will help. And I'll spray a little bit inside the pots here. Every pot you'll see has a little indentation here. That's basically why you want to be spraying your contact cleaner. You don't want too much of it. Just a little spray. And then see if that helps. You want to go very slowly here. You don't want to flood it. Just a little spray. Give it a minute and then see if you can wiggle it free. If not, go back and try again. But do it incrementally. So the chrome here is pitted a little bit. It's not too bad. You know, these days some people pay extra for that as relicking. It seems like the worst of the dirt here is coming loose, so that's good. Just going to come back on here with some all-purpose cleaner. These are just standard blue cloths. They cost a few pennies. You can use paper towels if you want to, but that's not great for the environment. I tend to use these because you can rinse them out and reuse them. Again, you've got some rust here on the nut around the jack input. That's not the end of the world. You mainly want to be looking for any rust on the contacts, but again, it looks fairly clean on the inside of the cavity here. It seems like it was pretty well protected. Okay, we're going to see if we can loosen up the pots here just by turning them a little bit. No. In this case, you can use a little bit of WD-40 on the inside of your pots. The cleaner on its own is not always going to work, but we'll give that a try first before we go in with the lubricant. I'll just give them a little twist again. Now they are stuck fast. Okay, we'll clean it up a little bit more and then we'll try hitting it with the WD-40. There you go, just a very small amount. The reason why people don't like to use a lot of WD-40 on pots is because it could leave a residue. But again, we're not dealing with a particularly valuable instrument here, and I don't think it's the end of the world if there's a little bit of lubricant residue inside a pot. Again, we'll go into the inside of the pot here. Just a little bit. Just give it time to work its way in there. Okay, if all else fails, you can try with some pliers, but you want to be really careful here. So a very gentle grip just gives you a little bit more than you would get with your fingers. There you go. So this one's got it loose and it's turning, so that's the tone pot. So it's turning now. I should be able to turn that with my fingers. So I just want to wiggle it over the length of its course. So that's loosened it up. And when you're gripping this, these are split pots, so you don't want to grip it here, you want to grip it here. You can see that. Basically the line, if you grip it on either side of the line, then what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze the split pot together, and that means the knob won't fit properly on it. If you grip it at either end of the line, you don't risk doing that. Okay, now the bridge volume, there you go. See, that's come free very easily, not a problem there at all. There we go. Just give it a few turns. Okay. Right, we're doing pretty good. Okay, so this one, again, still with the fingers, it won't come loose. But if we give it there you go. There we are. So we're happy with that for now. Okay, we haven't done too badly. So let's just give this another wipe down. There you are. So you might be able to see the pitting there. We're not going to be able to get rid of that. but I'd say it's pretty good. Okay, in a little while we'll plug that back in. Well, we'll plug it in, and we'll see if we can get a signal out of it. Now hopefully, as I said, we'll be able to actually get away with not having to rewire any of this, because that's a little bit of extra work I don't necessarily want to have to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pickups out one by one. I'm going to clean up, see if there's any dirt that's worked its way in there, try and get that out. But again, generally I'm going to try and leave them intact without, messing with them too much if I can avoid that. Okay, so this screw has a little bit of corrosion. You could feel it crunching. It didn't really want to come. You see the screw head there is badly corroded. You want to take your time in these situations. You really don't want to be forcing anything. Okay, so the screws are out. I'm going to see if we can get the pickup loose. Okay, so that's fine. In the base of the cavity here, we have a little copper plate. A little bit of corrosion on the bottom of it, nothing I'm really all that worried about. And then you have this little foam thing here. It basically presses up against the bottom of the pickup and allows you to set its height. So, other than just the dirt around the top edge of the pickup there, it actually looks pretty fine. So we're just going to hit that with some all-purpose cleaner. So it's really important to get rid of as much of this dirt as possible, and the reason for that is if you have dirt, what it does is it holds on to moisture, and if you have moisture there, then what you get is corrosion, and that's what you don't want. Okay, so that's the worst of it. That'll do for now. I'll finish it up properly when I come to put this thing back together. Now we're going to do the other one. Okay, so that's the bridge pickup screws out. See if we can loosen this up here. That's coming free, okay. As you can see, this copper trace here, that joins onto this one here. Now what we do have is a little bit of build up here. We're just going to clean that up as well. You see this, this white substance right here. That's what we're looking at. That's okay. Just going to put the base plate back in if we can, like so. Yeah, so that's where it needs to be. We're just going to clean up this pickup cover. Have a look underneath it. Yeah, that seems to be okay. Okay, again, we seem to be in pretty good shape there, so that'll do for now. So the bridge actually looks in pretty good shape. There's no corrosion on it. Doesn't seem to be a lot of dirt buildup, so I'm actually just going to leave it as it is for the minute because I don't think that it's going to hurt. We're in pretty good shape generally. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the actual knobs. I'm going to put them back on the pot shafts, and then I'm going to hit all the screws that are in my tub with some WD-40, clean them up, and I'm not going to use new screws. I'm going to still leave the corroded heads. I'm just going to clean off the actual rust. I'm going to put them back because I don't think any of them are stripped. I think they'll all still do fine. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this bass new. I'm just going to make it in workable, playable condition, and return it to a condition where it's not going to get any worse as long as it's maintained well from now on. So that's the tone knob. When you put these on, you want them either all the way up or all the way down the pot shafts, so you can make sure that your pointers are all pointing in the right direction. Doesn't really matter where they point because there aren't any markers on the actual plate. So I'm just going to put this one on like so. That's all the way up, and that seems to be fine. Okay. So you see now, when they're both all the way up, they're both pointing in the same direction, which means when they're both all the way down, again, be pointing in the same direction. And the last one. Okay, so the knobs are back on the pots. Put this plate back in position right here. That should be fine. So now, like I said, I've got all the screws I took out in this little tub here, and all I'm going to do is give them a quick blast with WD-40. What that's going to do is loosen up the actual rust. I'll lubricate them a little bit so they'll go back into position easier. You just shake them around like that. It's just a really easy way to get rusted screws back to life if they're not too damaged. Of course, you can just replace them if you want to, but in this case, I don't want to. Just give each of them a little wipe, and honestly, as good as new. Interesting thing that I didn't realize with these Silver Series Squiers is the pickup cavities are cut very close to the pickup surrounds. So you could, if you wanted to, leave the scratch plate off the bass if you like that Jaco Pastorius look. It's my understanding that newer model jazz basses, like the Mexican-made ones, have actually quite a wide route cut around this pickup here, so you can't take off the scratch plate and use it as is, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, so we're going to screw the pickups back down. I'm just going to get them held in place for now. We'll worry about their height adjustment when we have strings back on. Okay, now we're going to put the control cavity plate screws back in, and that's just so all of this holds together while we work on the neck. Okay, I'd say that's a good start.
So one thing we can definitely say about the neck is it is very light colored, it looks very dry, and it does look dirty.
So the first thing we're going to do is clean it, and then we're going to put some lemon oil on it, see if we can bring it back to life a little bit. Okay, so before I oil the fretboard, I'm going to flip the bass over. I'm going to address just cleaning up the back of it, see if there's anything that needs tidying up. I'm going to check the tuners, see if they need tightening up, any screws or anything like that. Right now they seem to be moving fine, but they might need a little bit of lubrication, so we'll just do that real quick. When you're doing this, always give your strap pins a little tug there, a little turn. See if you can turn them by hand with your fingers. If it's rotating on its own, that's a signal that the screw isn't tight enough. And if the screw isn't tight enough, it could be stripped. So that's something that you have to address right away.
So you'll see here
on the back of the neck,
there's two little marks here.
I'm going to see if they can come off just with some cleaner. If they don't come off, I'm not going to try and remove them. You can't really feel them when you run your fingers over them. Let's give it a go.
Oh, look at that.
So one thing I've noticed is that the skunk stripe on the back here, which is made of walnut, I can feel the edges of it. That tells me that the wood has moved a little bit.
Now I don't know if that's actually created a crack, whether it's come loose or not.
The skunk stripe isn't structural.
What it really does is it hides the
Truss rod cavity.
So it's not necessarily a problem if it is, you know, a little bit
Proud.
If the edge is a little bit proud, you could even take them down a little bit if you wanted to with some sandpaper. I'm just going to leave them as is.
We'll see if it's an issue when we start tweaking the truss rod to get this set up properly. Okay, we're going to flip it back over. Okay, so I've cleaned and oiled the fretboard. Now the guitar is fairly clean. We've cleaned everything up. Really, we haven't done anything other than kind of just get all the crap off it, really. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the neck, see if there's still a bow in it without strings on it. We're going to see if the truss rod engages and if we can actually tweak it that way. And if we can, we'll put some strings back on it and we'll see if we can get it back up to pitch. Okay, so eyeballing the neck, it seems like there is a bow in it, even without strings on it. So I guess the concern there is that the neck might be a little bit twisted. We'll have a look at it. So what can I say? This has turned out really amazing. You know, I actually can't believe
how well this has come up. First of all, apologize for some of the missing footage at the end of that clip there. Basically the GoPro, so it dropped the last few shots. I'm sorry about that. All that you missed essentially is me cleaning up the neck, restringing this bad boy and setting it up. It actually went far smoother than I anticipated. There is a tiny little bit of twist in the neck, but as we discussed on the Ibanez Gem 555 video, less than 1 degree is really not a deal breaker as far as playability goes. This bass plays very nice. It's set up really well. It intonates perfectly, and you know, throughout the range, it just it feels and sounds really nice. The strings are the strings that came with, so you know, you do what you can, but ultimately they are a little bit dead sounding. Once I've got new strings on this, it should sound even better. But considering the condition it came to me in, I'm absolutely blown away. And I suppose it's testament to the quality of manufacture of these Japanese Squiers from the early 90s that it's really kind of bounced back. And I think that this is going to become, you know, a real kind of a studio staple, a mainstay of my my gear arsenal, so to speak. So yeah, I'm chuffed to bits, as you can probably tell. So I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you have, please leave a like, or as always, leave a comment. Please subscribe if you want to see the next video. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.